bikes that can hit 160 miles an hour on.
Thank God nothing happened to him.
Hi guys!
Welcome back again to the channel. Today we are going to be checking out this video and let's get right into today's reaction.
It's sidecar racing and it's absolutely crazy. They are three-wheeled bikes that can hit 160 miles an hour on.
Thank God nothing happened to him.
Why did you get... Wait, was that an accident or was that intentional?
It was an
obvious accident. Like when we did the reaction to the previous Eyes of Man crash, we were actually contemplating within ourselves. It was that because there's a car they actually showed that looked
that zoomed like flash.
Blue
color, can never forget. Thank you. We actually contemplating, and we got this request to check out this particular one. The car we were actually contemplating if it was bike. It was actually a sidecar. It wasn't a bike.
Wow.
The speed
was the sidecar?
So with that speed of the other video we saw, somebody was actually
inside it.
Yes.
You know, this is the first time I'm hearing about anything called a sidecar. I've never actually heard about it before.
This is the first time ever. Like, and you see the speed from the previous one and this one now. And it's mostly driven by two persons.
Yeah.
The question I still ask every time, how do they see? If that is the speed.
Yeah.
We need a literal rider to let us.
I want to test this drive. Please, if you have it anywhere around the world, you can reach it to me.
I feel like there's a special Google for them to be able to see far. Because the prince will be closing their eyes.
The residential streets of the Isle of Man. But what's incredible is that it takes two people to drive this thing. One on the controls and one manipulating the balance of the bike. And controlling this thing at that sort of speed with walls, curbs and blind crests must be terrifying. But not as much as being the passenger whilst doing that. So today, let me explain the engineering and the insane driving skill behind sidecar racing. This is a Formula 2 sidecar, around 130 horsepower, 350 kilograms, including the riders, and a top speed of well over 160 miles per hour. They run standard 600cc 4-stroke bike engines and racing slicks. The speed they travel at is honestly astonishing. Now, sidecar racing is huge.
I'm so sorry, but you know, with the speed and two people controlling, they don't think alike.
Yes.
So
how do they communicate
and you know all of those things?
I think they just know their cues and know when to do
when
what
there's a turn, the guy knows that he's going to turn the car. Yeah, but Chris, like, you know, it's kind of touching close to the ground. When he touches the ground,
the guy was literally bending.
he's going to lose our hand.
With many different classes and events, from circuits like Brands Hatch and Alton Park to the scariest of them all, the Isle of Man Snaefell Mountain Course. The Isle of Man, statistically the most dangerous races in the world, and by quite some margin. The number of horrific crashes is endless, but despite this, hundreds of racers across bikes, superbikes and sidecars rock up every year to take it on. And whilst I do moan about organisers making tracks too sterile at the moment with massive runoffs, the risks at the TT are far higher than I personally would take. One misjudgment or one mechanical failure could send you off a hill or into a brick wall. The track weaves through tight island roads for 38 miles with tight sections and more open weaving sections where riders are flat out for minutes at a time. These sidecars manage an average of 120 miles per hour around these 200 turns. And to put this into perspective, the top class of superbikes, which are far lighter, manage this with a 130 miles per hour average. The TT is a time trial event that is held over a fortnight. 1 week of practice, and you're going to need every minute of that, and a week of races. They set the riders off 10 seconds apart. So whilst you are racing the clock, if you're quick, you have to put in some ballsy overtakes too. If you want to see loads of quality footage on this, check out the three-wheel.
So actually I like what this guy's explanation, because he mentioned something. You know, we've always been asking, are they on a race? Do you understand? He just explained how the whole game goes. They send you 10 seconds apart. Not 10 minutes, 10 seconds apart. Then, even as much as you're 10 seconds apart, you are not racing the person, you are racing the time. You are starting with. And while you are doing that, overtaking is always allowed. Precisely.
Channel linked below, and thank you to them for supplying a lot of the footage for this video. And this track would be terrifying in a car with 4 wheels and a roll cage, 1 driver, and the ability to take left and right-handed corners at the same sort of speed. But sidecars have none of these things. But before we get into it, some lingo. The sidecar itself is called an outfit. The person on the right is called the driver, and the madman who's hanging off the side is called a passenger. Anyway, from an engineering perspective, what makes these sidecars unusual is that they aren't symmetrical. They have 2 wheels in line and then 1 on the side. So when I'm driving on track, whether it's in Caterhams or Formula 1 cars, you get a feel for the car's cornering ability and then apply this to both left-handers and right-handers. However, these sidecars actually take right-handers far quicker than left-handers. And this is down to, in right-handers, the outfit leaning on that sidecar wheel, where in left-handers, the whole thing wants to tip over. Years ago, these outfits used to look more like a bike and sidecar. However, now they are bespoke racing units with advanced aero and much improved performance. They are powered by a single rear wheel, the one behind the driver, and are steered by the front wheel through some very small handlebars. They can also outbrake superbikes down to the huge slick tyres and the enormous car brakes that stop all 3 wheels. And look here, they use flat racing tyres rather than the rounded bike tyres, so they have a much larger contact patch, so more grip in the corners and especially on the brakes. Now to the question I'm sure you're all wondering, what about the dude on the back? Well, they are called passengers, or more casually, monkeys. And that kind of makes sense. These guys have to be incredibly fit just to hold on at these speeds and G-forces. Their role is to maintain the balance of the outfit. Without them, the sidecar just wouldn't work. It would be minutes a lap slower around the TT course. So they cling on, staying out of the airflow on the straights and hang off either side around the corners, essentially making up for the uneven handling of the sidecar. Around right-handers, they climb over the top of the driver to keep the weight on the inside tyres. Then on left-handers, they hand precariously over the side of the bike. And this is the bit that looks the most sketchy. They very often skid their backs along the surface of the track and can even get knocked off if the driver gets it wrong. Along the straights, they duck out of the airflow, then pop up in the braking zones to add as much drag as possible. Then as the driver turns into the corner, they have to quickly but carefully get in position so that the bike sticks. So in a car, you trail brake into the corner, meaning you gently release the brake pressure as you enter. This is all to transfer the weight of the car as gently as possible. On a sidecar, the driver is still doing this, but with the added component of another person moving around too. And it must be so tough to coordinate these 2 things perfectly. Some passengers even count or feel the bumps. Also, they don't need to pop their head up to see when the next corner is coming, which around a 38-mile lap is mighty impressive. As you can imagine, it takes enormous trust from both parties. The driver has to trust that the passenger will be in place to give him grip when he needs it. Then the passenger has to trust the driver that he's got his estimations right. The passengers hold on to a few specific handles. The main one is in the center of the bike. The riders hold this through the highest G sections, the braking zones, where they have to be up pretty high on the bike whilst the driver is on the anchors. Then there are several smaller holds around the sidecar for the cornering sections, as well as a specially shaped platform with places for the passenger to jam their foot in for grip. It really is like rock climbing at 150 miles per hour. Now, what I find mad is also what the driver has to do. It's not like a car where the grip is more predictable and the balance of the car is pretty steady. The most a car changes is when the tyres wear or the fuel burns off, both of which happen slowly and predictably. But on these bikes, if the passenger isn't in the right place at exactly the right time, the bike won't have the grips you expect it to. There really are 2 people steering these sidecars. But the thing I can't get over is the enormous risk that every driver takes on this track. Many of the riders have rituals where they hug their families every time they get on the bike at this track, even in practice. There are too many crashes, many of which are tragic, so you can imagine the nerves when sat at that start line. But as we all know, all motorsport can be dangerous, and we go into it knowing the risks. The skill, composure and dedication from these riders demands huge respect. One thing I had to find out was, how do you build up to doing this? How do you first learn the ropes in hanging off the side of a sidecar at silly speeds? Well, just like what karting is to single-seaters, miniature sidecars is to sidecars. These are awesome. They are called mini F1 sidecars and they race on kart circuits. The racing is brilliant with some awesome battles and some massive sends. You can really see how the passengers move the way around, getting on the inside of each corner, hanging way off the side of the outfit. You should watch this video where we explain another mad class of motorsport. Thanks very much for watching and thank you all for 700,000 subscribers. Myself and the whole team here at Driver61 appreciate all of you watching our content.
Talk about work of art. You know, the car easy to control, the bike, but these sidecars.
Hard.
It's just so.
It's the trust part, like you have to trust each other.
And the fact that they do that ritual where they hug their loved
Exactly
ones
what
before
I'm
they,
That's to show the high risk.
The risks in it.
it's like telling them goodbye.
Ha!
It might see me or not.
Or in the hospital.
And
What did I sign up for? Hello, please, can we check the clause in the contract? I need to escape this.
But actually see him said the madman stuff. I just feel like this sport is really crazy and seeing people know the risks before indulging is another thing. Because people like risky things
I don't
and
think normal
crazy
people
things.
Play this stuff, play this sport. You have to be at a level of
Or maybe you are
abnormality.
introduced to it when you were much younger and then you just fall in love and want to continue.
Maybe people in love play it too.
Yeah.
Please let us know what you think about this down below in the comment section. I really appreciate the recommendation. It was really thoughtful and we learned a lot of things. And we'll see you guys in the next one. This channel also have a membership platform. Please do be part of the member. See you guys in our next one. Bye.
Bye.